Today we're going to dive into Cities Skylines 2. What makes it different from Cities Skylines 1? What should we get used to? What has changed majorly and what is sort of minimally changed? And above all, how do we make a realistic town or city? How do we grow that organically? Well, let's have a look. So traditionally, a town's going to grow if the local industry is doing really well. Let's take the example of our fictional mate, Reggie Rico. Reggie decides to jump on a gold boom in the early 20th century, initially makes a lot of money, reinvests it back in more machinery and quicker access, and all of a sudden, the nearby town has grown huge. People coming in trying to get gold, shops on the main street opening up to accommodate those folks. This is definitely an extreme example, but local industry and profitable industry will grow a town very quickly. So my idea here with Cities Skylines 2 is to try and follow that as closely as I can. I figure if we can start a town for the right reasons, then it's got more chance of sort of looking organic and realistic. I know that it's not going to work perfectly, but I'm going to try and stay conscious of that plan. So we're going to start out here with one sort of a highway / main road that's running between two settlements. There isn't any highways yet. Let's try and start this organically. Our little town is going to branch off of this main road, and maybe it's branched off because we've got profitable farms down here, but in terms of putting these roads in game, wow, it is so much easier than Cities Skylines 1. Not only do the roads look better, the intersections make far more sense, and the electricity, for instance, can be run underneath the roads. You just have to hook it into the roading network, basically. So here I am, like an amateur, putting power lines everywhere. I haven't realized that I can run it into the road network yet, but you know, the learning curve is part of it. I knew that this first city would probably be crap, and maybe that was just to lessen the expectation, but there's no way my first city is going to be awesome. I'm just learning more about the game here. So my basic idea here is to keep this really small to begin with. So I'm just going to branch a couple of roads off this main one. It goes down to the water pump that we need to run the city, and I'm going to turn that into our main industry here. So maybe this water plant services a larger area and this nearby town has started because of that. So I'm going to start by zoning some residential here for people to move into, and right on the corners I'm going to put little wee shops. So I'm going to use the select zoning tool to do this so that I can just select a little wee shop rather than paint the entire zone, and we're going to gradually grow the town out from here as the demand sort of creeps up. So the biggest thing you'll notice here is you can actually see the buildings being constructed with cranes and stuff. I think that's pretty cool, and I also noticed too that the properties are following the contours of the land rather than digging in and creating those horrible cliffs like we've seen in Cities Skylines 1. Eventually the town just stopped working. It wasn't efficient, I couldn't build it out properly, it didn't really work. But like I said, there was no expectation there, so we can blow up this one here and start again. So if we were going to start a little small town realistically, we would need really small services to begin with, like really small schools, small police stations and things like that. And I'd have to say that that's the most limiting factor if you wanted to build really realistic right at the beginning. The first high school you unlock within Cities Skylines 2, for instance, is massive. It's like a city block, so that really puts a stop to any sort of a realistic small town. So the game is really forcing you or us as the player to just build a big city as quickly as we can. And this is where things get really cool. If you have played Cities Skylines before, this is just going to feel like a natural extension of number 1, but so much easier and quicker to play. Everything has been streamlined and expanded, and roads, for instance, are like 10 times quicker to put down and way more realistic. Things like water pipes and electricity can now run under the roads. City Planner players will be very happy with that, as am I. So as you guys have seen, we've started again here. I've modified how the town's laid out a little bit here, just so that we can accommodate the game mechanics a little better and try and make some money. but I'm also going to adhere to some of those principles we spoke about earlier and some we haven't spoken about. I've chosen a nice spot here for the biggest residential area I'm going to put down so far, and it's sort of framed by these curvy roads that meet the base of a hill on either side of the town. And then the core roading around here is following a grid pattern. That grid pattern is running at the same angle as the main artillery road coming into the town. So if we imagine for a sec that main artillery road was the first road coming into the town here for whatever reason. You can pick which industry started down here, maybe it was farming. So effectively this is the town we were trying to build in the beginning, but maybe fast forward 50 or 60 years. So we've hit our first milestone. We are officially a tiny village. Woohoo! So you can see here we get $600,000 and we've got access to some new buildings and resources. Pretty cool, pretty familiar. And you can see here I'm putting the landfill down, and this is one of the cool features I want to talk about. When you put these sorts of buildings down now, you actually get to choose a bespoke or custom area for the actual landfill. So you could fit this into your grid really closely, and this is going to help everybody make really unique and different looking cities. The next thing we'll pop down is a medical centre, and you get the choice in Cities Skylines 2 to upgrade buildings as well. So I'm going to plop that down and upgrade it straight away so we can fit more ambulances. I also think about putting up a windmill here, seeing as I'm right next to a hill, but it turns out it's not generating anywhere near as much power as I thought, so as it stands at the moment, I'm just buying power off our neighbours. One of the other buildings we've unlocked at Tiny Village is a cemetery, and these look like they like to be plopped close to residential buildings so people can walk and visit. And to be fair, it's a really beautiful building and park area as well. It just looks really, really aesthetically pleasing. So let's plop that down close to town. We have now hit our second milestone. We're at a small village. We get a little bit more cash here, as you can see, and we get these things as well. What are these things? Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. For now, we're going to carry on expanding our grid so we can keep building this town and create a bit more room for the new buildings that we've unlocked. The first of those unlocked buildings we're going to put down is a high school, and I want to keep this close to the neighbourhood. It would be fantastic if it was close enough that most of the students decided to walk. That would hopefully keep the nearby traffic down, and again, it's a really nice looking building. So sticking with the educational system, the next building we're going to put down is the college. We're going to go and put this over next to the cemetery. I think this is a really good spot for it, but not before expanding our grid pattern a little bit further to accommodate it. We're still on that same angle as that main artillery road. It will change a little bit later in the episode, but we're still really close to it here, so it makes sense to follow it. So expanding that grid out has given us a lot more room, and we've got a demand for some commercial, and this is a perfect spot for it being so close to the main street. We've also been unlocking higher zone types as we've been progressing. So not only do we have low level housing now, but we've also got some apartment buildings that we can put in. These can house far more people, but we need to consider the extra noise and traffic they may bring. So we're at the large village now. We're really starting to crank into this. This sort of shows me that how we've got the town set up is working, because that was really quick and easy, that progression. Right, so at this point the city's pretty much bleeding money. I'd like to try and make some. We've got some new resources unlocked. We've got a fire station and a police station we can put down now. I know from Cities Skylines 1 that the happier we can keep the citizens, the higher we can push the taxes, and the better everything runs. So I want to get these stations down in a really effective place if I can. I'm going to stick as close as I can to that arterial road, so they've sort of got quick and easy access to every part of our town. So from this wider view here, you can see that I've tried to keep all of our commercial and stuff around those main roads. There's also some apartment buildings there. Our residential area, or the core part of it at least, is a fair way away from this, and it's quite noise free. One area we haven't really talked about much is the industrial area. That's just a nearby stone's throw away from the commercial area, and I have plans to extend our main road through and past the industrial area eventually. So why did I choose this area for the industrial area? Well, for two main reasons. Number one is it's really close to the highway. This is vital. Eventually we're going to have big off ramps and on ramps here. Number two, it's also really close to the river/lake that runs through the area. So this gives us the option to put a cargo harbour in later on. So from here we'll move back over to the main part of the town and put in some more commercial. The demand for it's gone through the roof, and also I've unlocked some really large apartment buildings, so I've put some of those down as well. In terms of placement for those apartments, I've tried to keep them around the core part of the main town, as they're going to generate a lot of noise. So as you guys watch me extend the grid here, I'm going to talk about a couple of things I'm really excited about. Number one is the workshop. I'm going to hazard a guess and say the workshop is going to be up and running pretty early. A lot of those awesome asset creators that we love are probably going to get the jump on this game nice and early, and when that happens, oh lordy, watch out. I'm super excited to see what they can do with the likes of the landfill buildings, considering that you can create your own shaped landfill out the back of the building. Can that functionality be applied to other buildings in the game? Like for instance, could we take that mold of the landfill and make, say, a stadium, and instead of the landfill being made a custom shape, imagine you could make a stadium and make a car park around it with a custom shape. I think that'd be pretty cool. I could also be way off the mark, and that's more than likely, but those custom models on the workshop, I'm really looking forward to them, and I know, and you guys know, that they can change this game pretty dramatically. I'm also jiggling all over in anticipation at seeing all the other Cities Skylines 2 videos that are going to come out today. It's always so inspiring for me to see other great city builders and what they do with the game and their approach to it. There's also going to be a massive amount of information about how the game can run, how to get your industry working the best, etc. So make sure you've got nothing to do today, guys, and get stuck into those videos. So let's extend the grid a little wee bit further here in game. We are still following that main arterial road and the same angle and grid, but this is going to be the last of it here. It's going to meet another arterial road that runs off the roundabout very shortly, and that grid pattern is going to bend and twist just a little bit at that point. We see a lot of this particularly in American cities, and in Cities Skylines it just helps keep that grid pattern looking a little bit more fresh. And there it is, we got to the Grand Village. That's as far as I'm allowed to go with this first video. So let's switch over to having a cinematic view around, see what the place looks like. There's an arrow thingy. Oh man, I've still got a lot to learn about the cinematic camera that's built into the game. The shots are a little bit jumpy, that's definitely down to me and my PC. I think the old girl needs an upgrade. But all things considered, the graphics in this game and the lighting in particular are just fantastic. This looks really, really realistic. Gone are the cartoonish Super Soaker colours. The models of the citizens and how they walk and stuff in particular is just awesome. They look so much better than old Granddad and that guy with that massive hat and the cane. So anyway, I'm going to continue with this city, guys. This is going to become a new series. It's called Lake Hayes, if you didn't see that earlier, and we are going to develop that lake in the next episode. Enjoy all of that content being put out there today. If you've enjoyed this, hit that like button. If you've really liked it, you can subscribe to me, and I will see you guys in the next one. See ya!